to see the A Horse Named Diabetes.
Oh, that's right. I got to do that one.
Movie poster.
That'll be.
I told Evan about that, and she busted out laughing.
Yeah.
She was like, "That's a great idea. You should do that."
I will. I'll work on that. So I
don't want to overload you with design.
No, it's all good.
Since you're the one doing everything.
Well, that's the thing is it's been weird. So like I have been doing the routine of like getting up in the morning, and like granted the majority like Thursday and Friday I got up to watch Daredevil, so like I was burnt out on
I feel
really hard, but I was writing previously, but I was like, man, I should just do some drawing stuff because I do want to try some of these like t-shirt ideas and see if I can get them going, but I was like, that one would just be funny, like just for the sheer ridiculousness of everything. It would be great. It would be
Horse Named Diabetes.
It would be fantastic.
Gosh. I'd wear that shirt.
Yeah, that'd be
I'd
great.
hang that poster on my wall.
Dude, I would get movie like. So what was your first ever movie poster? So it was actually for a fake film called A Horse Named Diabetes, featuring all of us, and it was a very sad movie.
Oh gosh.
What happens? Well, the horse dies. How does he die?
Diabetes. So was his name Diabetes, or did he have diabetes?
Both? Both?
I think the answer to that is both.
I think the answer is yes. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's awesome. Are we in? Are we started?
We in, dog.
Are we cracking this sucker? Yeah. What up, pickled peppers?
Boy.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pop Culture Punks podcast, where we bring, you guessed it, pop culture to, you guessed it, the pit. For you every week.
To you guessed it, you.
To you. I realize that we haven't introduced ourselves like ever, so
yeah.
This is one of your hosts, Phil Sorensen.
And this is one of your hosts, Josh.
Yeah, buddy. This week, we will be taking a ride out to the good old Wild West and discussing what some are saying is a masterpiece.
Lenny!
Called Red Dead Redemption 2. Howdy, partner.
Partner.
You're a good boy. I love petting my horse.
That's it, boy.
That's it, boy.
Yeah, you're all right, boy. I don't know what it is.
Whenever I'm riding and like pushing my horse to the limit, I'm always like petting him at the same time just to make sure he chills out.
Like
he's always like, "That's so good,
that's all right, boy." Yeah.
He's so endearing towards his horse. It's hilarious,
dude. I love,
especially for like as hard as he is. He's just like loves his horse.
I love my horse because I've kept that same scrawny horse that you get.
Yeah, same here.
And He
died once, but I healed him. I ran back to town. I think I told that story already. But
yeah, I've kept my same horse. I've never had any incidents. Me and old Wingra riding around the west.
I named my horse a Roach.
Roach, nice.
I'm like Geralt.
That's it, boy.
That's it, boy.
That's it, Roach.
But yeah, before we really dive into that, you got any updates? What have you been up to other than slamming Daredevil?
Literally chugging Daredevil. Honestly, not a ton. But I did get, so I had two purchases this week actually.
Pop.
Spyro.
Oh, you bought it?
I did.
Oh, dude.
I did.
I saw it's $30 at Meijer, which we don't have around here.
Really?
There's one in the UP. It's $30, so I'm picking it up there.
Nice. So I heard this thing, or I got this email more or less where Best Buy was like, "Hey, did you win a $5,000 gift card?" And so I got like $10 off. So and then with the Gamers Club, I was like, it's basically like $20.
It's
like
basically free.
It's basically free.
You can't not buy it.
You can't not do that for 3 games. What are you doing? So I haven't even plugged it in or installed it or anything yet. But I'm actually really excited. I was seeing some gameplay footage. It looks
so good.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. So I did pick that up. I'm really excited. They just launched a new character in Overwatch named Ash, and she's part of...
Is that gunslinger lady?
Yeah, so there's another character, McCree, who's a Western guy, and so Ash is part of their, like, his outlaw gang or something, and so she's got, like, a more rifle thing going on. It's pretty dope. Like, they were showing some gameplay footage of her, and so she's got this...
What type of character is she with the rifle? Is she a sniper or mid-range?
I think so. I don't know. So I'm
not good
curious.
With snipers.
Yeah, I'm curious to jump in and play as her, but I'm really excited. I think she's got a really cool design, and it's gonna be cool to have another character in like kind of the more mid-range, long-distance rifle play versus like there's a lot of like semi-automatic people and automatic people. Just you hold buttons and just mow people down. So it'll be cool to see how she plays out. So I'm excited for that. But the other big thing that I've spent, I think I'm 3 or 4 hours in right now, is Pokemon. Let's go.
Oh, baby.
Phallus. I did not name him.
That's what it was. I went to name my Pikachu, and I'm like, what is the name?
What was I supposed to name
my Pikachu? I'm changing that name when I get home.
That's amazing. So I did not name him that, despite
I was going to, and I forgot what it was supposed to be. So I was like, I guess I'm just going with Pikachu. Randy Chew.
Come here, Randy Chew. Yeah, baby. You thunderbolt. Oh no, you're Sparky. I like that. But yeah, I should have stayed away from that. It's, man, dude, this might be blasphemous. I think I prefer how they did it with the Pokemon encounters, and I have specific reasons. I know there are a lot of people that would disagree and have.
Yeah, I think if you're not a competitive player, then this is better.
Yes.
Other than the nostalgia factor, I think, like, because I've been playing it too. I'm probably a little bit further than you, maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
I can't put it down. It, like, oh gosh, it's so good.
It is.
But yeah, I think the new mechanics are just nothing. Like, you don't notice it. I don't know what people are so worked up about. Like,
for real though,
I could see, like, if you're like hardcore into Pokemon and like you're
breeding in IVs,
you're into the
like
breeding
all
in the
this stuff.
IVs and stuff, like, that's definitely toned down.
Yep.
And like you're not gonna enjoy it as much. But like, being able to avoid wild Pokemon is a godsend.
Incredible.
Like, I get to choose which Pokemon, other than the ones that pop up right in front of you as you. Then I'm like, gosh dang it! And then I'm like, wait, this is how it used to be,
right?
Like, and it makes me realize like how good it is now.
Yes,
I think if they molded those two systems and gave us the option to see the Pokemon in the overworld, but we could battle, even if you could switch it on and off. Like, if somebody wanted to do the Pokemon Go style, or if they wanted to do the battling somehow, I don't know how they would do that, because that would mess with experience stuff.
Well, and I wonder if that's something you could do where they just would constrain the. I mean, this is getting into technical. We don't need to.
Yeah,
we'll
talk about it in our actual review episode. But yeah, I think after playing it for 5 or 6 hours, like, it's just so it doesn't, like, compared to the rest of the game, it feels like this is something I could easily get used to. Like,
100%.
I've already gotten used to it. It's just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's so nice being able to avoid Zubats. Like,
yep.
And it's kind of cool because they give you some Pokemon in different areas now.
Yep.
So, like, I've already caught a Chansey in Mount Moon. He's, like, super rare, but as soon as I walked in, one popped up. Like, before I even got into the cave, it was, like, just starting to pan out, and all of a sudden a Chansey pops up. I'm like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah.
Where the heck did this come from? Yeah, it's just so nice. Like, seeing these graphics, I'm just like, dude, next year is going to be nuts.
Because you've been playing handheld, that photo you sent me? So I've been playing it on my TV. So having basically what is Pokemon Yellow in full 3D on my 55-inch in my living room, and literally, like, sitting under a blanket, laying on the couch, playing with the Motion Plus, it's superb.
Yeah,
like,
dude, like, being able to play Pokemon handheld on the Switch is like a dream come true. Like, it just feels like it was meant to. Like, it feels like it was meant to be.
Definitely.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaways right now, battles are completely the exact same. I think why I think it's better, the way they have the system set up with, like, how Pokemon level up and all that stuff. One, you can actually, so they do have and go, and I think I'd said this in our episode with Zach with the 50th, and it's confirmed, and I've literally done it. Extra Pokemon that you catch that you don't want or have extras of, you can transfer them straight from your box. You don't have to go anywhere.
Yep.
You literally just transfer them.
Yeah, there's no PC now. It's
no
just
PC. You have
somehow
like
you store them all in your backpack.
Yeah, you have like a you have a huge backpack apparently.
Yeah.
But you can pick those Pokemon and you can, like, batch pick them, and you just send them to Oak, and he's like, oh, this is awesome. Like, here's a bunch of candies.
It's literally like Pokemon Go.
Exactly. But what I love is it's not like, oh, I traded in a Chansey, I get 3 Chansey candies for the next Chansey I catch. It's like
HP candies,
it's
attacks,
HP defense,
whatever,
exactly. And so you can, because I have that, I was like, I know, like, oh, my Mew's kind of slow. Well, every time I get these extra Pikachus, I did.
You get it right away?
Yeah, straight up.
That's cheap.
Yup.
I caught an Abra for my sidekick.
He's pretty sucky. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I
kind of figured they would nerf him just because.
Yeah, he's pretty weak sauce. But regardless of that,
the nice thing is he can learn any move. So
yeah,
with TMs over time,
it is fantastic. And I think I do understand from some side people being like, oh, well, like, they took it away, and like you said, like, the competitive edge isn't there, and it feels like not as difficult. But
That's not what this game is supposed to be.
And I don't even know if saying it's not difficult or it's not challenging is the right thing. Like, I just think they took out a lot of the JRPG grind crap that shouldn't be in there in the first place, or is infuriating at points. Because that was one of the things that burned me out on Ultra Moon.
I would say, with a caveat, like, it's definitely easier. Like, I haven't used any other Pokemon other than Pikachu so far. Like, your main starter is like overpowered compared to other like Pikachu is way stronger than a normal Pikachu, and Pikachu learns like double kick right off the bat, so like I just kicked Onyx in the face and wrecked him. And so like in that respect it's a lot easier, and your 6 Pokemon just like you basically start off with XP share or whatever, which is fine because I would have just gotten it anyway and used it as soon as possible. So like, but you like everything you do gets you experience, and every Pokemon in your party just gets experience. So like your Pokemon are always like pretty much around the same level. So in that respect, it's definitely easier.
Yeah.
But I agree, like they just took away the grind, and the grind's not even gone. Like it's just a different type. Like you don't have to battle wild Pokemon anymore. Now you just catch them.
Right. And I feel like in my mind too, what I noticed is because of the way they've designed the new mechanic, it's not just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how much EXP I'm going to get from all these things, or I have to farm trying to find Chanseys and like Ultra Moon is like what you have to do, and you can only do it at the end of the game after you beat the whole freaking thing. Whereas with this, you can literally time it so that it's like I'm not going to engage every single thing that pops up. You can wait for the bigger ones that come up, catch those, get a butt ton of EXP, you're off to the races. And so you get to choose, and you get to be more strategic instead of just wasting your time just like running around the grass
hoping you run into the right Pokemon.
Right. And to me, like one of the things that's been the most fun so far is running through an area and all of a sudden like a Sandshrew pops up. I'm like, frick dog, and like you like run over there and get it, and it's like it's exciting because it's like I didn't expect that. Whereas in the other ones I'm like, do I really have to just like hope, like just like walk around and like hope this thing pops up?
It's a weird feeling because like walking through Mount Moon, like it's taken me a while to shed that anxiety like of walking through Mount Moon.
It's so
and
true
like,
though,
cause like so every 2 steps a Zubat pops up and you're like, dude, leave me alone. I already showed you I ran away the last 10 times. I don't want to battle you, dang it.
Like, exactly.
But like it's like walking through it, like I still almost have that feeling like, oh frick, something's gonna pop up, I gotta get to the next guy, but like it's just so like as soon as you realize like, oh dude, I can avoid all of these Pokemon. And sometimes it's like a game, you're just like, all right, I gotta run around this Zubat and then swivel around this Zubat, and like there's like 3 Geodudes converging in on you and you're like, no. But it's like cool being able to see them and not have that anxious. And that's not to say I'm like anxious about Pokemon, but like there's like those little things that you notice memories, like, oh, this is an actual improvement, like that I didn't realize I wanted.
Right.
And I think the Pokemon Go mechanic is definitely debatable. I do like attacking Pokemon, but catching them is fine. Yeah. I think I wouldn't be mad if they reintroduced the attacking Pokemon, wild Pokemon in the new one, because I think if that's what they did in the next one, like people are not going to be happy, I think, overall. I agree. So
yeah, and to me, I think one of the and maybe what you do is you put the battle mechanic in as well, but you keep the Pokemon Go side of like you use berries instead of like attacks or things to like nullify them or whatever, because I think, and maybe what you do is you keep those things in as well to like maybe supplement berries and some of these other things. But I think what I love and why I like the addition of the Pokemon Go mechanic is I can see, like, I'm going up against a red ring. This is not going to be easy. Whereas, like, there are times... You can see one of the most infuriating things I hate about Pokemon, and I know people will be like, oh, but that's just how it is. When you have this Pokemon that is asleep or paralyzed or frozen or what have you, and it's literally... like, you can't even see the red sliver, and I'm like, literally, I should be at a 50-50 shot right now. Like... with all the stats, at least. Like, there is literally no reason that I should not be catching this guy in the next few Pokeballs. It's like,
I'm interested to see how the legendaries pan out in this one.
Right. And that'll be really interesting because I know you get to battle those, and maybe that is going to be the thing that, like, I am really excited for that, because that will be cool to see. Okay, I've whittled their health down and it started from a red, now it's like an orange. Okay, now it's like yellow. Oh, I threw a raspberry. Now it's still yellow.
From what I've heard, I think you just defeat them, and then you get a shot at catching them.
Oh, see, I wouldn't mind that either. Like
as long as they can't run away.
Right. Oh, that would piss me off.
But I guess you just do the saving thing.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
But I'm honestly really
which means
liking
you get
it.
experience for defeating them probably.
Yes.
And it makes it feel more like a boss battle then.
Right.
Like instead of you're just like, oh, I guess I'm saving in front of this guy and I'm going to reset 10 times until I get lucky and my Ultra Ball finally decides to work.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And now it feels a little bit more rewarding.
Right. I appreciate the move into something that I can actually tell what my stats are and my chances are. And even if it's a low chance, it's like, okay, well, I was...
Honestly, like I could see... I don't want to get too far into this because we're already diverging, but I could see like a hybrid system where like you still do have the battle mechanics and then you add in the Pokemon Go mechanics as a secondary thing that happens once you decide like, okay, now I'm going to try and catch it after whittling it down. And then that gives you an extra way of like increasing your chances. So like you have the old system, you whittle them down, you get them asleep, and you can take your chances. Or you can go into the Pokemon Go mechanics and increase your chances even more by doing that. And I don't know how cumbersome that would get.
Right.
But if it was a choice, like, okay, I'm just going to take my chances and just go with full circle by default.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to turn on the Pokemon Go mechanic and see if I can whittle it down even more.
Right.
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But, again, anything with Pokemon Go, like, these people are, like, with
the purists
transitioning,
are very angry.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Pokemon fans and Fallout fans, like, these two games coming out in the same week have made me realize how like
visceral,
toxic the internet is. Like, people are ticked off on Reddit, especially. Like, it's so divisive too. Like, some people are like, "This game is trash. Everything about this is trash. Everything, like, I haven't even played this game yet, and I already know it's absolute trash, garbage. Like, everything you could come up with." I'm like, how do people operate like this? Like,
I don't know.
How do people operate in this space? I'm like, if I hate something, I just don't play it. Like,
or I just ignore it and forget about it.
Or I rant about it on the podcast. Like, but like,
that's what we're here for.
But usually I only rant about things that I really, really care about, which I guess these people are doing. But like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, I'd rather play it and try it and then complain about it if it's still bad. But I've noticed a lot of people are just jumping onto the complaining train with Pokemon and Fallout and stuff. It's just... it's frustrating.
Yeah. And
it is frustrating seeing your favorite thing change because I think like Fallout and Pokemon, those two things were announced like very similar times, and I'm like, oh cool, a new Fallout. Oh frick, they're changing it. Oh cool, a new Pokemon. Oh frick, they're changing it. And like, I remember my heart sinking a little bit, thinking like, is this really the end? Like, are they really like
end?
Destroying two of my favorite things? But then kind of like stepping back and realizing like, oh, this is just a side project. Oh, this is just like a new thing they're trying.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm just like, okay, fine. They're still going to give us Fallout 5. They're still going to give us Pokemon Gen 8. Like, nothing changes.
Right.
So,
and I mean,
and in that sense, why are people like so outraged about
I don't
it? Like,
know.
No matter how much you pound into their heads, like, this is not the mainline game. This, like, they've told us so many times. Like, why do you keep pretending like it is?
Right.
Like, and I just need to stay off Reddit.
Yeah, well, and
I don't want to belabor the point too much.
Right, and I mean, my last 2 cents is just it's specifically to the fans. It's like, it's totally fine if you really don't like this then just wait. Like, wait until the next one and shut up about it. Like, let everyone else who's excited and playing
and enjoy
like,
it.
fine. If you are that angry about Fallout 76, and I have my issues with some of the things I've heard, but it's like, I'm just not buying it. Like, if you want to play it and you have fun and you're a Fallout fan, like, good. Go do that.
Exactly.
That's your choice. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think part of it is people get really defensive because it's not like, oh, I think some people it is, oh, you're changing my thing and don't change my thing because it's mine. I think some people are also concerned that if people like this thing that I don't like, the company's going to start doing that thing, and that means I'm never going to get back the thing that I originally enjoyed.
But that's just the way things go.
Exactly. And you
just
have
mind,
to live
like,
with it.
That I had that thought. I was like, oh, well, if they do this Pokemon game and I'm playing it and I'm enjoying the mechanics and I'm thinking this is fun, like, what if they add this to the next game? And in my mind, I'm like, I think that'd be fine.
Right.
But I think that's what scares some people is like, we absolutely do not want that mechanic in our Pokemon games. And then they get mad at people like us who are kind of just like,
that's fine.
I don't know.
Like,
I'll play whatever
it's
Pokemon
cool.
game comes out.
It's Pokemon.
Like,
I'm a fan.
As long as I get the same feeling I'm playing while playing the Fallout game, like, I'm going to play it. Like, I'm not like, and they're like, oh, speak with your wallet. I'm like, I am speaking with my wallet. That's
like,
why I bought it.
It's fine. Like,
so
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, did you have anything else that you were doing this week? We kind of...
No, that was. I mean, literally, like I said, it was basically Daredevil, Spyro, and Pokemon. That was that was the gist. So
nice,
pretty bingey week.
Yeah, mine wasn't. I didn't have too much stuff. Like I said, I've been playing Fallout 76. I played the beta for quite a while, like I said last week, and I really like it. I got it on PS4, and I've been playing it a couple days this week, and it definitely has issues. Like sometimes it feels like an unfinished game in the sense that like there's a lot of bugs. It's frame drops. Like there's some places where I had to leave because it was just so. Like the frames were just so messed up, and I'm like, all right, I got to get out of this place for now. But I would say the game itself, it feels like Fallout. Like I'm exploring a cool setting in the wasteland. I'm looting things. I'm killing cool monsters. I'm reading notes in terminals and getting to see cool like environmental stuff. There's no NPCs, which kind of annoys me. And there's the quests are kind of like fetchy type quests, like go here and do this thing and then learn this thing and then go here and get this key and then go to this place to unlock this thing to get this key to go to this place. And right now I'm not tired of it. I think it's fun because it gets you introduced to different areas and you get to see cool different environmental things, but I don't know how long the game's gonna last,
right? And
I don't know what the end game right now people are saying is kind of like, what do we do? But they've already come out with the patch notes and saying like we're gonna fix this, this, and this, and we already have a patch coming out on Monday to fix performance issues and stuff. So it's clear that they're like actually going to support this in the long term, because I think with past Bethesda games, like they usually support it pretty intensely for a while, and then because it's a single player game, they kind of divert their efforts to other games. Whereas with this one, if it is truly a games as a service, then I would hope they stay up with it more. Otherwise, they're going to lose their fan base really fast. Because if there's no content, then nobody's going to play it.
Right.
And so there's like 3 or 4 vaults in the game that aren't open yet. And so those are going to be like different DLC dungeons and stuff. And all the DLC's free, which is nice. So right now I'm happy about it and I'm having fun. It's just really frustrating going online and watching and reading anything. And I see the gripes and I'm like, all of those things take me off too, but I'm playing it and I'm having fun, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and I think, one, I think it's funny. You are not allowed to poke at Chris. I don't think you ever have, but him and his Sea of Thieves. So we're if we're gonna allow this, I don't know if we can.
I've heard that comparison before, and I think like the difference is like when Sea of Thieves launched, they're really like. At least my understanding of it was there really wasn't actually like much to do other than like ride around in a boat and like attack other people's boats. Whereas there's a map 4 times the size of Fallout with like actual cities and unique places to go and explore and terminals and stuff. So in that sense, it's more interesting to me because I'm not playing this game online. Like you have to play it online, but I'm not playing with other people. So like the interesting part about me is can I play this solo and like explore on my own and have fun.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Cool. No, but and then the other thing too is like I feel like because I kind of had this realization after the whole Mass Effect Andromeda thing too, where like again it was one of those games where people who are like quote unquote fans ripped it to shreds, didn't buy it, hated it, bashed it, said there's nothing good about it. And like Chris and I, who are huge Mass Effect fans, were like, yeah, like there were some very, very clear, distinct issues that were problems. And like, I mean, the "my face is tired" meme is still funny. Like it's hysterical. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And there's part of me that wants to go back and play it just to have a fun third-person, active, engaged shooter again. Like it's just a fun game. But like, I don't know what it is with gaming fans that they are the most toxic, the most vehemently angry, self-righteous, I know what is the right thing to do with your game and all this stuff. And like some of their opinions are right. Like, yeah, a game shouldn't be buggy, but there's also an extent of like, if you're really a fan, buy it. If you're really a fan, shut up about this version of it and just wait. Again, same with Pokemon. Just wait for the next one. Yeah. Like they're gonna get it. Like they'll figure it out. Just trust it. Yeah. And if they don't, Fallout's dead. Like that's the worst thing that happens is like it dies for 5 years, Bethesda loses its license to it, and some awesome studio comes along and grabs it, and Obsidian they did Vegas,
Obsidian,
right?
Yeah.
Obsidian comes along and they make it or whatever. Like it's not the end of the world. Like relax. And I mean we say this all the time. It's pop culture. Like it's
you're supposed to have fun.
You're supposed to have fun. Like stop stop
do the things you love and
everybody.
just ignore the things.
Yeah,
you hate.
it's just like, just let it happen. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, but it's gonna change and it's gonna ruin everything. It's like, if it does,
It's
it
not
does.
the end of the
It's
world.
not the end of the world.
And I mean, I've been there. Like with Pokemon, I was afraid. I was like, oh no, they're like ruining Pokemon. They did my worst fear. They're combining Pokemon and Pokemon Go. Like Pokemon Go is the worst thing to happen to Pokemon in a long time. But then I started playing Pokemon Go and I was like, actually, this is kind of fun. Like,
right.
It's a fun experience. And like the mechanics they added aren't really Pokemon Go. Like
no, not at all.
It's similar, but it's functionally different.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to belabor it too much. I keep saying that, but it's just frustrating. It's like
definitely
it's like wearing on my mind watching all these videos, and I need to stop going on YouTube because like it's hard because when a game comes out and you're at work and you want to hear people's opinions about it and you want to see some gameplay and stuff while you can't play it. But yeah, I've been trying to seek out YouTubers who are more positive about the experience and trying to like be critical about things that, yes, this absolutely needs to be fixed if this game is going to succeed going forward.
Right.
Versus, I haven't played this game yet, and it looks and plays and feels like utter trash. Like, you haven't played it yet. Like, you can't, if you're not going to play it and just sit from the sideline and say how bad the game is, like, just go away.
Yeah, no,
like nobody wants to hear your opinion. Like, we do want to make sure that actual bugs and things that are literally broken get resolved and stuff, but like, just like the naysayers are just annoying. But
yeah, and I think that's the thing. You're entitled to your opinion. You can totally speak from observation, but like, stop trying to ruin it for people who are actually playing.
When people
it.
tell you to shut up, like, don't get defensive.
Right.
Like,
well, I can
I have
have
a
my
right to my
opinion.
opinion. Like, yeah, you do. And
Yeah,
I just
you
told
do.
you to shut up. I have a right to
because
tell you to
I
shut up.
am actually playing the game. So like,
I'm actually playing it, and plenty of other people are saying it's fun too. So I don't know. Yeah, I've been playing that, and then I rewatched the first Guardians with Evan,
nice.
which was good.
It's a good flick.
We made it through all the other ones, so now we're rewatching some of the ones that we didn't include in our thing because we had already seen them. And then the only other thing is Jakey Boy got me into Need to Breathe. They released an acoustic album, and I was like, not really my thing, because that was one of those things, like, during college, everybody's, like, hyped on. I'm like, oh, Need to Breathe is, like, the best thing since
do you listen to
sliced bread.
Mumford & Sons? It's like,
yeah, and I'm like, no. But I like, listen to their acoustic album, and it's actually really good.
Cool.
I've been getting into, like Americana-y type country-ish folk stuff, and it's very akin to what I've been listening to.
Sweet.
So it's actually pretty good. Jacob's trying to get me to go to a show with him, so maybe I'll go, depending on what the cost is. So yeah, that's the thing. I got a couple news items here. We can go into Black Friday a short bit and then jump into Red Dead. News-wise, Detective Pikachu, a trailer came out. I thought, so my initial perspective was like, this is horrifying. Like, I'm kind of scared actually after seeing this trailer. But like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for a live action Pokemon movie. Like, whether it succeeds or fails is yet to be determined. But like, my body's ready to see this movie, and it's got Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu's voice, which is hilarious. I wish it was Danny DeVito, but
I saw a fantastic tweet where it was like, I really appreciate Ryan Reynolds playing Detective Pikachu so he can make fun of himself in Deadpool 3 playing Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, people are like, his metagame has gone too far.
Yeah, it's like it's getting a little crazy, but I love it. Yeah. So
honestly, I wouldn't doubt it if that was like part of his motivation.
He saw that, he was like, you're onto me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Definitely.
The funny thing is, like, I saw another tweet because Danny DeVito was trending that same day because of that. And like, somebody tweeted, was like, I love how Danny DeVito is tweeting just because so many people wish that he was voicing Pikachu.
That's amazing.
So that would have been hilarious.
Get your sword.
Pikachu, in my opinion, looks pretty good. I think people are struggling with the idea that Pokemon have fur.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, even Evan was saying, like, I just assumed all of their skin was kind of like smooth and rubbery. And I was like, yeah, but if you think about it, like, most of them are animals, so I feel like they have to have fur. So yeah. I think Pikachu looks fine. Some of them, like Mr. Mime, he looks horrifying.
He looks really.
He's got like little peach fuzz on his head and like freckles on his face.
I'm like, he looks like an old man who escaped the asylum. Like, I'm not jiving with that. Yeah. It's a little too far.
Yeah. So yeah, that trailer released, so you should check it out if you want a fun, horrifying time. Some of the Pokemon are like, woo. Other news: Obsidian and In Exile, which are kind of like partner studios, got purchased by Microsoft.
Interesting.
It's interesting looking forward, which will tie in later to my Black Friday stuff, but Microsoft is buying a crap ton of studios. I think they own like 12 to 15 studios now, which obviously they're not making anything right now, but it seems like they're ramping up for the next console season, because I feel like they've realized their shortcomings, hopefully, this console release, and they're like, straight out the gate, we're like getting all these studios and we're just going to pump content. And I'm hoping that happens, because I want to see the console wars kind of ramp up again, where right now Sony's kind of just basking in the glory.
Yeah, like no one is contesting,
and like
that Sony
it's
has
sad
the best.
because right now Microsoft has like technically the better console, like power wise, but they're stagnating because they're not, like, sad. It's sad but true, but exclusives are what drive console sales, I feel like.
Yep.
Because like if you want the definitive experience, like the Xbox One X is there, but like people have PS4 because all of the
God
games.
of War and Spider-Man and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad to see right now, and I'm hoping this purchase, because Obsidian's made some good games, so I'm hoping that is indicative of Microsoft ramping up their production of good games.
100%.
Yeah. And then the last thing, sad face, is that Stan Lee died this past week. I don't remember what day, but
I think it was Monday.
I remember, like, I don't know who texted me, but
was it Graham? I think Graham or Jake did.
Well, I think first I saw it, and then all of a sudden I just got like texts from random people, like, I mean, not random, but like different people that I would never have expected to see this. Like Graham texted me, and then my dad texted me, and then my mom messaged me, and then my brother messaged me. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and all of a sudden I like see it on Facebook, and I'm like, oh gosh, dang it.
Yeah.
The time came.
Yeah.
So he was 95 years old. He would have been 96.
That's crazy.
This year. So
it's insane to think of, like, I mean, everyone was, I think it's taking it pretty hard, but it's crazy to think of someone leaving that deep of a creative legacy, like just in multiple industries, in multiple styles and all this stuff, and just like how many really great characters that he's made that, I mean, have been people's just their identifier for a long time, and just people that, you know, characters that like we grew up with admiring and loving, and now getting to see in crazy movies and really deep storylines, and like it's insane how far that dude's reach was. It was such a somber moment, because like there's been a lot of like celebrity deaths and stuff lately, and you usually see a lot of it on social media, but like I feel like with his, and maybe it's just the people I follow, but everybody from like comic creators to authors to like even like some rappers and stuff, like just like this large swath of people like took time out of their day to say like, this dude like did something for my life, like this guy changed some aspect of my life or inspired me to create this thing. And I'm like, to have that type of, and I'm sure he wasn't even intending to like have the reach he had, but like it's just crazy to think about how much of an impact he had on so many people's lives. And it's just crazy that he's gone. Definitely.
But he lived a long life, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I know I am going to have a pocket of tissues for Avengers 4 when they do some kind of, you know, they're going to do some kind of thing to call out to that, and that's going to be, it's going to be
even
brutal.
like, even if his cameo is just like the most heartfelt quote.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It's going to bust me.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I'm not prepared for
I'm not ready.
Luckily we have 6 months or whatever.
6 months to get ready, yeah.
Yeah, so that was sad.
Yeah, so it's tough to see. Yeah. But we are thankful for Stan Lee, and I mean, we've talked about a number of his works and some of his creative projects that he's.
Yeah. It's cool that he got to live to see his creations come into like the mainstream.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Everybody's talking about his characters now. Yep. So it's cool.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
So on a brighter note, we're gonna head into a Red Dead Redemption. We're gonna head into our Red Dead review, and I think to just kind of set the stage of what we're gonna talk about. So one, neither of us have fully beat it because it's a freaking huge game.
I don't know how much time I put into it because they don't tell you for some reason.
It's a long, so you don't.
I feel like
freak
I've
out.
put like 20 to 30 hours into it, and I'm only
Same.
40% done.
Yeah.
Assuming that number means just the main story,
Yeah.
which I've read online does. There's a separate statistic for like complete
Other
game.
stuff, yeah.
So, yeah, I think the story is like 60 to 70 hours maybe.
Yeah,
if not
it's
more, depending
ludicrous.
on how much side exploring you do, which my entire play sessions are me just running around trying to shoot deer and like hunt and stuff. I'm like,
Right.
frick, I should probably do a mission now.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so
But
we wanted
yeah,
to...
neither of us have actually completed it, so
Right.
we probably won't focus too much on like full-fledged review.
Yeah,
but
because
more on
there's a
implications.
lot, exactly. There's a lot of details that there are a number of your reviewers who get paid and do a
Yeah.
really good job of fleshing out every single thing that makes these games amazing. And I think those things are really important to look into, especially if you're thinking about jumping into the game if you haven't already.
Yeah.
But I think from what we've played and from what we're more concerned about, I think from our own perspective regarding the game industry and open world games as a whole, that's where I think the crux of our discussion is going to be. We will talk about some of those details and how some of those details play into what we hope other teams then take into their games moving forward. So
yeah,
with that,
I would start off by saying if you are on the fence, get off the fence
and
go buy the game.
Get on your horse. Go down to Target.
This game will be, at least as far as I can tell right now, this game is a milestone in the gaming industry.
100%.
Like this game, there are games that I can compare it to, but this game overall does things that have not been done in this way.
Haven't even been attempted in certain ways.
Yeah, I feel like this game is just like so far beyond. And I mean, it's still gonna, in my mind, it's still in contention for Game of the Year between this and God of War, because God of War was just as amazing in its own right, but they're doing different things.
Right.
But this game, what it does for the open world genre is just like vast.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
while playing it, I'm just like, dude, what is this game? I feel like I'm playing something that is supposed to come out in like 4 years, like next gen. Like, I can't even believe this game is out during during this gen. It's crazy. So yeah. So I would say if you're on the fence, get off the fence, buy the game. If you're not on the fence and you don't want to get the game, get on the fence and then get off the fence and buy the game.
Go get it.
If you're almost gonna buy it, get out and buy it. So just buy the game.
Pause this.
And if you're a PC gamer, buy a console, buy the game, play the game.
100%.
There's no other way to say it. If you are not playing this game, you are missing out.
100%.
And I'm not afraid to say that.
No, definitely. And I think to start jumping into why, one, this is a world. Like, this game is a world. This is not I'm playing in ancient Greece and I'm running around stabbing people, or like, this is, fake. This is a fake California city and I'm driving cars and doing crazy backflips off of stuff. Like, this is a full-fledged world with consequences and ridiculous things that happen and really serious things that happen and complex characters that are all trying to make their way inside this very chaotic situation in this time frame. And it looks amazing, it plays amazing, it sounds amazing, everything it feels real. Like it feels like I have to make decisions based on, like, it'd be kind of funny to do this, but I don't want, like, I've found, so for a great example, when you play Skyrim, or when I've played Skyrim and you're on your horse, like, you find crazy ways to run up the mountain. Like, you just do, because you're like, I'm not trekking around this whole giant sitting volcano for 20 minutes to just get to the stupid thing where some guy wants a potion. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So you find your way and you just kind of jokingly, like, spam jump and glitch jump over up
That's
and
what
through
I do
stuff.
on every Bethesda game.
This is like this is a really stupid point, but this is one of those games where I'm like, I am walking the path. I am protecting my horse. My horse is my buddy. He is my ride or die. We are gonna treat
honestly,
each other like
because when you mark a waypoint, it doesn't show you like the direct path. It shows you like the roads. I take the roads.
I just take the roads. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not killing my horse.
Yeah,
I'm
not jumping off.
I'll spend a little bit of time getting over
exactly.
it. And I haven't gotten far enough where maybe it gets tedious after a while, but because I have heard that. But yeah, it's just like you want to see the world, you want to explore it, and like you want to know what the heck's going to happen the next time you go from this town to this town, because some stranger might try and hijack you, or somebody might give you a snide comment and I pop them in the face with my 6-shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you looking at me funny, or like some guy would be like, stop looking at me like that. I'm like, oh yeah.
Look at this.
Put my bandana on quick.
I love it. Yeah, I think one of my favorite things has been the cast, and there are a couple of things that we'll mention. We're just going to repeat from other episodes, and we've given impressions, but the cast in this game is stellar. Like, everyone is awesome. I have loved every mission I've gone on with all those characters. Dude, and they're like,
it's just crazy. Like, it's just crazy because like some missions, like the mission is literally just like this person wants to go shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
And like in any other game, you're like
no.
And that was my thought when I went on the mission with Sadie, I think her name is. You like, spoilers, by the way. This is gonna be spoiled.
We'll start spoilers. Is about we'll be about maybe 38 minutes in.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, it's inconsequential kind of to the main story, but like you go shopping with you bring this lady shopping to get some supplies or something, and it's just like, normally I'd be like, no, that sounds dumb. I'm not going shopping. And I had that thought. I'm like, oh god,
I don't want to do this.
But like the whole point of a lot of these missions is like the carriage ride there. Yeah. And like the conversations are, because I've heard other people complain about Rockstar games where like a lot of the main narrative is interesting, but then when you get into a car or like you're riding with somebody, it's just like the conversations are trite. But in this game, like a lot of the story and stuff gets told through your interactions with these characters. Yep. And like I find myself enjoying just like riding in the carriage, like hanging out with my friend Sadie and like going to the store, and then on the way back from the store shooting up a bunch of bad guys and then having a conversation on the way back. It's just like you feel like you're almost like living a second life.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's just super immersive.
That's a great point, because that was actually one of my favorite moments so far in the game. And I think the reason being that, one, Sadie's one of the first characters you run into in the early game, because the O'Driscolls like kill her husband and take over her house and stuff, and so you bring her along, and it's a good chunk, at least for me. Like I was hours into the game before that, and like I think what's so fun is all these characters, like they're not. I feel like what's great and what I personally love, and I didn't think I would love this, but there's something about like being with characters that are confident in who they are already, and you're just playing as them. Like you are just experiencing the world that they are in as them, and there's not like character growth in that respect. Sense,
this definitely isn't like a role playing game.
Yes, like you're not developing, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just because it's so fresh and I haven't experienced something like that recently or what, but there is something where it's like, I'm not playing as Arthur for Arthur to be like, well, I think I'm done with crime. I don't want to do crime anymore. It's like I'm playing with Arthur to like be Arthur, and I'm you know, like he's like makes comments on that ride back where he's like, you really are crazy, you know, and just stuff like that where people just say and do exactly what you think they should say and do, and not in a way of predicting. Like I'm not like, oh, you know, here he goes again on this, but it's like, you're a nut, and I like this. Like here he is. Like here's what's that one dude? And like I'm sure you played that town mission where you have to break the one guy out of jail, and you shoot up the whole town.
I was like, dude, I didn't want to shoot up all these people.
Mad. And Arthur's
and later
mad.
He makes a comment. He's like kind of like passive aggressive towards him, like. Or I don't know what it is, but Arthur just like hates Micah, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like super passive aggressive towards him. Like, yeah, I didn't ask to shoot up that entire town. Like,
exactly.
But you had me running all over the city doing it.
Yeah. And it's like, and you hear these things and you hear these comments, and it's funny.
Classic Arthur.
Yeah. And you're like, that's what I wish I would have said to Micah. It's like, I really don't like you. Like all you do is you kiss Dutch's boots. You're no good. I don't like you. And Arthur is just so into this on that wavelength where he's like, I do not like you. No one should like you. Why does Dutch like you? And like they have these conversations, and like Arthur has these conversations with Dutch. Everyone just is very upfront and real and direct, and it's very interesting. And I feel like part of it plays into every good story has conflict. And I feel like what it is this game is a conglomeration of huge mega conflicts that are going on. Like, you know, we're trying to get out west to get out of the reach of
it's
the
basically
government,
like
stuff
civilization
like that.
Versus
exactly
quote unquote uncivilized outlaws. Yeah.
So you have like that as like a major conflict. You have like bigger conflicts that happen with like the O'Driscoll gang and stuff like that. But then you have these little moments of butting heads, and you're like, I'm gonna have to have a mission with that guy, and we're gonna have to sort this out, and this is what's gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting because, you know, and then later, like Micah gives you a mission where you go like rob a stagecoach, and you do that. You know, there's this whole shootout in the river with the O'Driscoll gang, and it's so dope because you're like, okay, I'm cool with killing these guys, and they're totally on board, and they're like yelling at each other the entire time, and like it just you are in the midst of it. Like it doesn't feel like they're trying to like make you learn about everything. And
I felt like
unreal.
Going into it, I was afraid that the whole outlaw bandit thing would be stereotypical.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think the way that the characters are and the way that the characters develop and kind of deal with their situation, it makes you really feel for the way that they live their lives. Like, I wouldn't go out and justify shooting up a stagecoach to rob it, but they're almost like Robin Hoods. Like Arthur has said a couple times, like, no, we don't do that. We don't rob poor people. We rob the rich and kind of like whatever. So it's like, it's this interesting flip and this interesting portrayal of like these people who are basically like living like a nomadic lifestyle, but trying to find a place where they're safe from people who are trying to impose external laws on them.
Yep.
In our society, we're like, yeah, that's good because we need society and like we need stability and some sense of whatever. But it feels interesting playing as these characters who like are struggling. Basically, it's like an identity struggle. They're struggling with dealing with that. So
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's I feel like the some of the greatest moments in this game happen in little interactions and in little things. It's not these huge set pieces that are built up to then be this big payoff. It's all the little things that make these bigger things even bigger, and it makes it feel like a weight. Like there's a huge portion to it, and it's spectacular. And I can't compare this game to anything. Like even to just be like, well, it's kind of like this. The only thing that maybe touches it is The Witcher 3. And I think specifically with what we were just saying is The Witcher 3 just kind of thrusts you into it, and you're in the world, and you are playing as Geralt, and you are interacting with all these other people, and they are who they are. They're going to talk to you frankly and directly and in a certain way, and like you're not necessarily like growing as a character with Geralt. And I love that. Because I have to then adapt. I have to get into the world and make sense of it. I'm not like, so when are you going to teach me how to do this? When are you gonna show me where this thing is, or how these people think, or why, like, why is she all grumpy? It's like, oh, she just told me she doesn't like me. Okay, well, I guess that's where we are. Like, there's no passive aggressive in terms of like dancing, or like, is this weird? Like, is there supposed to be something here? Or like, it's just everything is on the table. Everything is very direct, and I love that.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree. I think expansive-wise, The Witcher 3 is the only thing I can really think of that kind of touches the same things. And I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. Like, I think God of War in the same way, like, story, putting aside the open world concept, because God of War is, like, open, but not really. It's not open in the same way. But I think graphically and story-wise and like the emotion you feel like with these characters, like I think that could be compared to. But other than that, like it just feels leagues ahead of anything that I've played.
100%.
Like there's open world games that I enjoy for certain reasons. Like Fallout I'll always like more than other things just because I love that immersive aspect of like the post-apocalypse and the 50s and stuff like that. But like this game is just on a different level with setting expectations for this type of game. So, and I'm most interested to see how this influences CD Projekt, because I'm assuming some of them have probably played this game. I'm hoping they have.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they take a page from their book to some respect. Yeah. I think there's certain things that I would opt out of, like the survival-y type mechanics, but those are like non-issues in the long run.
Yeah.
So yeah. Which they make sense in the Wild West.
Yeah.
I think in a cyberpunk setting, I would not want to be like always trying to set up a camp and eat.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense in the Wild West setting. So
yeah, and to be honest, some of those things have been really fun. Like I'll just do it.
And I'm not saying they're bad in this game.
Yeah, no, totally.
I'm just saying in other games, like Fallout 76 has a little bit of that, and it's just like I don't want to be trying to figure out how to eat all the time and drink when I'm like in the middle of a battle and looting things.
Right.
But the way that Red Dead does it integrates it in a way that makes sense. Like you want to go out and hunt, you want to go out and get the next kill, or you want to go to the store, and like Also, the stores, like,
So
you can
dope.
literally, like, walk into the store and you can pick stuff, like, you can buy stuff and take it off the shelf. Like, literally, you go up to the shelf and take a can off the shelf and buy it that way, like, if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't do it that way because I don't want to accidentally steal something.
Right.
But you can, like, flip through the catalog, like, literally flip through the catalog and, like, buy things. It's just, like we said, we don't want to get into all that stuff, but
yeah,
it's so immersive and it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that sets it apart too is that all the mechanics are working so well together. Like, I don't feel like they're fighting against each other. Like, I've had that in other open world games where I feel like it's like, okay, I have the freedom to go around and I have the freedom to go do things and make choices, and yeah, my quote unquote choices matter. But like, I think of like Skyrim. Nothing you do matters. Oh, you joined the Dark Brotherhood. It's like, well, okay, like, so what? It's just one of the things you chose.
And I think, I think the thing that this game does well is it knows what it's supposed to do, and it does it really well, which is something we talk about all the time.
Yes.
And I think, and that's why Skyrim works the way it does. But, I think it's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine, like, if a game like Skyrim attempted something like, and I mean, The Witcher is, like we said,
the closest
similar
thing. Yeah.
I think, it's also hard to compare a role-playing game to an open world
definitely.
Game because the things that Red Dead doesn't have don't hurt it. It's just that's not what it's trying to do.
Right.
And so,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh. It's like
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, I haven't played that all week. I just want to sit and binge that for a while.
I know I haven't played it a lot either because with Fallout coming out and Pokemon coming out, it's like I really want to play it, but I also really want to play these things and that thing, and so it's a balancing game. But
definitely,
I think, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of things that we should. Well, I want to say my one gripe before. I only have one gripe about the game so far.
I'm curious if it's my gripe, but
it probably isn't because I've never played any Rockstar games before.
Oh, okay,
and I'm assuming
this
is how other games are because people online have been saying it. But the default, I'll specify the default controls on this game are absolutely atrocious in my opinion. And like, I already hate third-person shooters. And these controls just did not make sense to me. There's like input lag, so like if you press left, Arthur like turns like after you press left. So like as you're walking, if you don't have the controls set right, it feels like you're walking through molasses sometimes, and like the shooting is kind of wonky. But so I struggle with that, and that actually kind of like pulled me out of it a little bit. Like the immersion was harder because like I didn't enjoy the gunfights like I felt like I should be enjoying those moments. So personally, I found a couple videos. I'm going to shout out their names just so you guys can check them out if you do get the game. But one of them was, his name's Solid Rev. He had a video. If you search Solid Rev, like Red Dead Redemption controls, he had a video about how to kind of tweak them. And then Boomstick Gaming was another one that had a video. And I kind of used those two to figure out what worked best for me. Because there were some things where like the gun acceleration was just, by default, it was really bad in my opinion. And so I turned a lot of things off, and I turned the aim locking off for a while, but then I kind of turned it back on to small and stuff. So I think the default controls were bad. Once I tweaked them, it works a lot better, and I'm able to actually like get into it. But that was my sort of my one gripe with it so far. I haven't beat the game, so I don't know how the story will play out, but I've heard that the story is amazing and heartbreaking and all of the above. So
yeah, definitely.
That's my gripe.
Yeah, mine was actually fast travel.
Okay, two gripes. Yeah. Fast travel, like
they do have it.
Riding the horse is fun, but yeah.
And to be clear, like they do have fast travel because I've heard some people who are misinformed that they say, well, there's no fast travel at all. They have fast travel to cities, but you have to unlock it at a fairly high price point in terms of donating to.
How do you unlock it? We could talk afterwards. But
yeah.
Like,
so what you do
it.
is, I think it's after you do some of the missions for Herr Strauss or whatever, or the German guy.
Yeah.
There's Dutch gives you like a book where you can do finances and stuff, and you can buy things for the camp or buy camp upgrades. There's one where you start buying upgrades for the living quarters for Dutch.
Oh, see, I bought Dutch's so far, but I didn't buy anything else.
So once you buy Arthur's, then you unlock a map on the back of your trailer, and then you can select to fast travel to any city, even if you haven't been there yet, which is cool.
Even if you haven't been there yet?
I think so.
Oh,
because like there's a bunch on there that I was like, oh, I don't
see, in my mind,
that.
I've heard people talking about fast travel, and some people were saying that the fast travel system was like the train or something, and I was like, how the heck am I supposed to catch a train?
Well, there is like a fast travel to cities where you can actually literally go to that map, and then you'll like ride your horse into town, and it'll kind of adjust. What I'm frustrated with is there's no fast travel back, and I think you can't. And so that's the thing is like you can fast travel if you get a stagecoach, but there's no stagecoach back to camp. And so I wish even if they had a fast travel of like, okay, I'm going to fast travel back to camp. And again, I'm sure it's an immersion thing of like, well, you actually would have to like ride your horse back or whatever, but then it doesn't make a ton of sense because you can still fast travel out to a city, but you can't travel
just take the stagecoach
back to camp
to fast travel.
Yeah, and so that's just one of my gripes is like I've loved the horse riding and I've loved exploring, and I think to an extent it is good because it's led to certain scenarios and stuff, but I think it's also I struggle with it because for me personally, I know there's a lot of people who love the exploring and just happening on stuff aspect, but because of how huge this game is, I tend to be one. Some of those rides
can be really long.
Yeah, I tend to be one who I really struggle with being ADD in open world games to a fault, to the point where I start losing enjoyment because I'm like, there's literally so much coming at me at once that I'm like, I don't even like. Well, I feel bad because maybe that was a great moment, and I just missed out on a great moment because, you know, I was like trying to race back to this thing, but like maybe I didn't need to race back to this thing, and it just becomes this mind game where I'm like, I don't know what I should say yes to and what I should say no to, and feel good or bad about, and it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, just give me fast travel back, and I think that would mitigate a lot, because then if I go out exploring, I have a quick way to get back home and then to go out somewhere else and to go do a mission or something.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel stunted right now where I feel like I personally have to choose more because I'm like, I don't want to just go run around. I'm
curious to see if that will be something that they can actually add post
release. I wonder if it was a creative decision, not necessarily like a technical decision.
That's one of those things where I'm like, I prefer functionality over immersion.
I agree.
Immersion becomes a thing where it's like, and I kind of like the aspect, the fact that it's kind of locked behind the purchase thing, so it's not like you just have fast travel outright. Like, it makes a little more sense in the way that you get it.
Exactly.
And then it also forces you to get in the habit of exploring first, because I could see that's why they want you to explore the world and not focus on getting to the end. They want you to enjoy the journey sort of thing, which makes sense.
Definitely.
But being able to do it eventually to speed along the game a little bit when you're starting to get towards the end and you're like, okay, I want to like experience the story now and beat it.
Yeah. So. And so that's literally my only gripe is the fast travel mechanic to get when you're out in the middle of nowhere back to somewhere quickly. And you can do the like cinematic mode and just like leave it, and you'll run.
Yeah, until somebody tries to hijack your horse,
or you run into somebody, because sometimes that happens too. Where like they can't, like,
third gripe, the following mechanic is atrocious.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Like when you're following people on horses, my guy just keeps running into them. Like, he's like, "Hey, leave me alone, man,
idiot!"
Yeah, I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, it's like
I held A. Or X.
That's all right, boy.
Yeah. But so that part's annoying too.
Yeah.
But it's all of these things are so small in the grand scale.
So minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually pretty close to an hour. Again, sorry we didn't go into crazy detail, partially because like you just have to do it. Like I can tell you, the guns are so good, but like
it's a journey.
That's superfluous. Like, it doesn't mean anything. What do you think other people in the games industry, specifically open world games, and maybe even not open world games, what do you think this game says?
I think we've done an episode on open world games.
Yeah, that was like an early one.
And my gripe with open world games is, if you're going to have an open world, then put actual stuff in the world. I don't like, and by actual stuff I don't mean like
things to do
like little missions, because I've heard like Assassin's Creed has a lot of stuff to do, but it's more just like, go here to fetch this thing and do this, and it's not like immersive in the sense that like, if I'm out in this quote unquote open world and I'm just like, oh, I see a mountain, I'm gonna go drive over to that mountain and figure out what the heck is going on, and like if I go there and I don't see anything from here to there, whether it be an animal to hunt down or a person approaches me somewhere randomly or something, then it's just like, why was this even here? Why have an open world if you're just going to make it boring? And I think the thing that this game does so well is everything feels natural in the world. It doesn't feel like they're forcing too much content on you, because I think like if they did add that role-playing game aspect to it as well, it would bog down the pacing of the story. I think.
Agree. Yeah.
And with a game of this scale, you need the story to be paced, and I think that's why like Fallout 4 tends to feel a little bit forced when they force the main story on you, because it's like, well, I'm searching for my son. Why am I not doing everything I can to get him? Why am I exploring for 30 hours in the wasteland without finding my son, sort of thing? So I think this game does that really well. And then the things you experience in the world, at least that I've experienced so far, like I've never been bored.
Yeah,
driving around. Like I'll find a city and I'm like, oh, well, let's see what I can find in the city. Maybe somebody will smack talk me and I can beat them down, or like maybe I can find something to rob, or there's just like so many little things here and there to do that don't feel like they're a fetch quest. They feel like a living, breathing thing that you just accidentally happen to stumble upon while traveling this world. And I think like that's one thing I really hope open world games and open world role-playing games take from this, is like actually utilizing the world, putting interesting people and interesting quote-unquote enemies or characters or whatever in the world for me to stumble upon, and like make them actually have like lives. Yeah, because there was a video on YouTube where some dude just like followed NPCs around for a whole day like cycle, and like they go through their whole life. Like they wake up in the morning, they get ready, they go to work, and they go back home and they go to bed, and like you get the sense that this world is actually existing without you. And I want more of that in open world games. So
yeah, a couple of takeaways that I think other industry bigwigs should really take heed of is, one, take your time. Like, notice this game came out 7 years after Red Dead, the first one, or something like that.
I think it was
like,
8.
It took almost a decade. But look at how many sales this game has. Like,
dude, I'm gonna look that up.
It's like a couple million. Like, it's insane. Like, it's broken records. And partially it's because it's a franchise that's known and well loved, but it's also good. And
it got us to buy it. We weren't gonna buy it.
I know. Every single person that has played it has said glowing things about it. And I'm sure there's people who hate it and don't like certain things and blah blah blah, but like the vast majority of people who have bought this game have absolutely loved it and said it's one of the best games ever. That kind of quality does not come on a 2-year cycle. That does not come on a 4-year cycle, unless you're, masochistic developers who just push yourself to the brink every single day for a couple years. But like, take your time. I think the majority of people, like Cyberpunk, I am envisioning what's going to happen with Cyberpunk is, it was announced years ago, like it's going to probably push the same timeline, like 7, 8, maybe 10 years. People are going to lose their minds at how detailed and how intense and how quality, and like if they even touch and even some of the verbiage that they've used to describe its development and what it's going to be incorporating is almost identical to what Red Dead is doing. And if they can do that, woo, like we might have two of the biggest like game defining titles in the whole existence of video games coming out, in Red Dead and in Cyberpunk. I think those two games could potentially define gaming going forward, at least for single player games.
That's my hope
for open world, for like big games. I don't want to say that for everything, because like there's still a majority of smaller indie titles that are single player focused that are amazing. But I think like the idea, I hate that so many creative industries are so focused on get things out, like just make a lot of stuff. No, give me something less frequently, but good. I'm going to be playing Red Dead until...
Give me something that will blow my mind.
Exactly. Like, I don't want some... Like, if there was another one that came out next year, one, it's probably going to be the exact same game. It's going to be trash. Two, I just played this one. Like, unless you're literally turning it on its head, I don't care. Like, it's kind of old news. Like, let it go.
Yeah.
But developers just need to take their time. Like, no one is in a rush as much as they are. And we all know that the reason that they're in a rush is because they need money and they need it now. I'll give it to you if you deserve it, but like until then, like just take a deep breath.
It's kind of interesting
make it
to
good.
me how Rockstar has both gotten a bad reputation because of what they've done to GTA 5 to some extent with people like us.
Mm-hmm.
But also, GTA 5 is still the number one selling game.
Right.
I think
like
in
it's,
the list every year since 2013.
It's crazy.
And now they make this game, and people are just praising them up the wazoo. I looked it up, and it was, what was it, like 17 million units in 8 days?
Yeah, that's insanity.
That's nuts. And so,
insanity.
I just feel like they get it. And I mean, they're planning on releasing online in the next 2 months, I think, and that's going to be a whole...
Yep.
That's probably going to be a whole different ballgame that I don't participate in.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. We'll see. But yeah, it's just nuts what they... Like, if they didn't release any DLC for this game, any extra story missions, I feel like I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, this game feels like a complete package. And that's what I liked about God of War, too. Like, you felt like you got what you were supposed to get, and that was it. Like, there was nothing extra to tack on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think devs need to learn from this and realize that, like, sometimes you need to take a long time.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Great.
And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree and they just want that instant gratification now. But I think as someone who makes stuff, it takes a process, and it's a lot of times it's trial and error, and it's something as complicated as a video game. Like, if you're writing a movie script, like, you cut stuff, you add stuff in, you change characters, you change character arcs, you change the world, you fix things, and then it's like that's its own thing and you make it, and then there's complications there with like whatever. But with like a game like this, you're talking like coding complications, you're talking narrative complications, you're talking technical complications, and having to record audio and link stuff, and with how detailed they are with like variations.
And I'm actually surprised how like little bugs I've seen.
It's ridiculous.
Because like even with The Witcher, like it's not super glitchy, but like it's not as immersive in the sense that like your horse will just like awkwardly run into people and they don't do anything about it.
You like whistle and they'll just like sprint through a field, knock over
and
two
like
people.
there's just like little things that aren't like game breaking, but like immersion breaking in a sense. But like you don't notice a lot of that stuff in this game, or at least I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are bugs.
Yeah. I've seen some funny ones.
Yeah, but like with a game
so few and far
scale,
between.
Like where are the game breaking bugs? Where are the things that like where are the things that people are saying like this is like wrecking the game? It's like it's astounding.
And I will say that is one of the things that I will defend people who are angsty with Fallout 76 is I think that's one of those instances where maybe people would be a little bit more forgiving if it wasn't so broken.
And that's one of the criticisms where I was like, absolutely, like this game should have been released early next year.
And I think you've said that where you play that versus Red Dead.
Like,
yeah,
it's like you almost just become pacified to it. Like, it's just Bethesda. It's just Bethesda doing Bethesda things, and a lot of people are kind of saying
that's a
and
problem.
That's kind of the narrative shifting of like, okay, but we should be expecting more from a game we pay $60 for.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. And I think Rockstar shows us that it's possible to create, and that's a whole different thing. Of their engine is kind of trash, and they need to update it.
Right. So. Yeah, and I don't want to turn this into bashing other companies who like didn't make this because there's a reality that like the reason Rockstar is as successful as they are is like they just have a team and a crew that is out of this world. Like they probably one of the best game teams ever, maybe. Just with what they did with this game in terms of how complex it is, all the details that are involved, how well it plays, how good it. Can we just talk about how good this game looks? Like I'm not one to tote that. I think that was actually
literally like playing this game tipped the scales for me for wanting to actually like get an Xbox again and get the One X so I can
just see it in its full
4K.
glory.
Yeah,
right.
Like it tipped the scales. So
yeah, it's
insane.
One of the things I noted too is it's like I do want to shout out how good the graphics are, but let me say this: the graphics and how good they look did not come at the cost of anything else, and I think that is a huge thing going down the road of what other developers need to look at. Rockstar proved you don't need to pick and choose. Like, you don't need to choose, well, it's got a good story, but it looks like crap. Or like, well, it looks really pretty, but there's nothing of substance in the whole world that we've made. They did everything. They made a detailed story that you care about and you want to be involved in and you want to see how it plays out, and that you also want to get distracted from shooting legendary animals in the middle of who knows where and like robbing trains and things like that. Yeah, it's like... But in the midst of that, you're running through the hills and there's like the light rays and the fog that comes through and you're like in the snow and you can see your footprints and you shoot an animal and there's blood in the snow and it's like
And the skinning animation actually happens. And
yeah, it's like it's so detailed, but they didn't sacrifice anything. And I feel like I've just played way too many games recently where it's like you picked prettiness over quality of game substance. Like
which, especially with open world games, seems to be
that's the trend. Yeah. Like that just tends to be
Bethesda
the trend.
Bethesda is like gameplay and role playing elements sacrificed for graphics, or Assassin's Creed, like dope graphics and dope scenery, but maybe the gameplay and questing gets sacrificed.
Yes.
This game is like we put everything in it.
Yeah.
Maybe aside from the role playing game aspects, but it's not trying to be a role playing game. It's not claiming to be that. So
yeah, and I think that's to its strength. Like I think
in that sense they did pick and choose. They chose not to add those types of elements, and maybe that is something, but I don't think the game needs to be a role-playing game because you're not role-playing. You're Arthur Morgan,
a seasoned veteran outlaw. And
exactly.
I think that's, to me, is what I've really enjoyed playing it, is you're not having to, like, it's not like, well, I'm just a budding outlaw trying to figure this out. It's like, you know how to shoot a guy from 50 yards away, like, pistol from the hip kind of thing. And that, to me, is super fun, of, like, I am a bad mother effer running around the West, and don't mess with me. What, are you looking at me funny? Darn right, because I'm gonna bust you in the skull.
Honestly, like, I've done that so many times. Like, dude, Evan will be like sitting on the couch watching me play or whatever, and I'll be like, "Don't look, I'm about to bust this dude." Like somebody, because usually, like, if some guy passes me and says some snide comment, because sometimes that's another thing with the controls. Like, sometimes I accidentally aim my gun instead of interacting with people, because for some reason they decided that the same button to interact and to shoot was a good idea. But like sometimes I'll like accidentally point my gun at someone, and they'll be like, "Don't point that thing in my face." I'm like, "I'll point it in your face if I want to point it in your face," and he'll say some comment. I'll just
blast him. Some of my favorite moments have been when the O'Driscoll gang pops up and they're like, "Well, look at here," and blah blah blah, and you shouldn't have been coming around here. And I always antagonize those folks. I never antagonize like some guy who's like, "You're ugly." I'm like, whatever. But I love when the O'Driscolls start picking fights.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
I'm like, I'll be the first to shoot.
Yeah, it's been every time, because I'm always like, let's see. It's like, all right, well, what are you gonna do about it? And they're like, get him, dead eye, bam, 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 bam.
Yep.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Go. Get away.
And then you
don't do it.
Then you loot them.
And I'll loot those
for their
fools.
Silver belt buckles.
Yeah,
and their
buddy.
Repeater cartridges.
I'll take this belt buckle. But yeah, dude, this game is nuts, and I really, really, really hope that its success doesn't just stay pocketed to the fans and the people who are enjoying it. I hope that, as much as we've griped about other companies jumping on fads in a negative way, of like, Black Ops making a battle royale mode and every other person having a battle royale mode, and this game needs to have this kind of quest because this is the new thing. Like, I hope people look at how successful Red Dead was and they say, why was it so good? And I hope they try and, like, there's nothing better than people trying to replicate not money making success, but quality success. That is what we want more of. I don't care if battle royale is popular. Like, great, maybe you did make it better, but like, it's gonna die eventually. It's gonna die, but
it's not gonna be a game that like people buy for the next 10 years.
Oh my gosh, no. But this game, this is one of those games where people are going to be talking about we're going to be talking about this when we're old, and everyone's playing VR stuff, or they've got something you plug into your brain.
Day, we had Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's like, we had Red Dead Redemption 2, and they're like, "Tell us, Papa, tell of the good old days." It's like, well, in those days you played as this cowboy. What's a cowboy? Well, they had this thing called grass, and it was everywhere. Like, it's gonna be nuts. But I hope that this shakes up the industry so hard.
I think it will. I follow a lot of like developers, especially Sony ones, on Twitter, just to kind of keep my pulse to what's going on. And a lot of them were like basically playing it and like tweeting at Rockstar saying like, this game is going to change things and stuff. So I'm hoping even like Sony developers and stuff, and I'm hoping Microsoft is kind of seeing too like what the industry likes and what it doesn't like, and is
and this is what's interesting.
And maybe Nintendo, we'll see.
Well, dude, but that's the thing is, I can't remember the guy who developed Zelda, but some of his favorite games from when he was developing Breath of the Wild were like Witcher 3, Skyrim, like some of those, and you can tell, like,
oh, absolutely,
he took those things and he's like, well, how can I make this Zelda, and how can I make it better? Not make those games better, but make Zelda better with those elements. And that's what Breath of the Wild is to me. Is like, that game is. I want to go back and play.
I still haven't played it.
I saw you text Zach, or tweet at Zach that like you may have sold it. I was like, what is this, dude? Like, come on now, come on, son. But no, it's good. Just go get it.
Buy it. It's probably coming out on PC. I would guess before next year, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting.
And online is coming out at some point too.
Pretty soon. Yeah.
So, depending on how I'll jump in. If it ends up being like GTA Online, I'm probably out. But if it's like people running around in the Wild West, like outlaws versus bandits, or the law versus bandits or something, I'd play a couple matches maybe.
That'd be fun.
Be kind of fun. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
For sure. Well, that's pretty much the gist. Again, we didn't jump into like super great detail, and I know it's because like we have a lot of things and we don't have the time to finish a 120 hour long game amidst all these things, but definitely check out, I know Phil shouted out some YouTubers to check out their videos, some reviews that I watched and listened to after the fact that I think were really good is is it ACG? He does like a by weight.
Yeah, ACG.
Like he does fantastic reviews. Definitely check him out. Angry Joe actually has a really funny.
I need to watch his still.
Yeah, his is. I like his. His are always crazy. Yeah.
What score did he give it?
I think he gave it like a 9. I want to say. But he also gave Spider-Man a 9 or an 8 or 9. So he's spoken very highly of Red Dead and Spider-Man. Nice. So those are both good. But yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much the gist. Go check out. Yeah, just comb YouTube. Like, there are so many people who actually like beat the game wholeheartedly, and if there's like maybe a specific detail that you're looking for, they're probably going to cover it. Honestly, I think this is a game that you just need to try. Like, you just need to play it and just see. Like, everyone's saying it's good. Take that for what it's worth. There are very few games ever that like. There are games that get there are games that get 10s and are like quote unquote perfect. But usually those games are like for a majority good. This is like everybody and their mom is saying that it's one of the best games ever made. So get out there.
Buy this masterpiece.
Buy that masterpiece. Rob them trains.
Rob some
trains. Dude, some of those heists, man, are so cool. So dope.
Dude, it's
good stuff.
It's crazy.
Yep. Well, on that note, we're going to sign off. Just another reminder that our t-shirt dealio thingy, I guess it's more a merch store gift card than anything, but if you're interested in winning or being entered in to win a $25 gift card to either Redbubble or Threadless, send an email to popculturepunks@gmail.com sharing your favorite moment of the show so far in our 50 episodes. We got mugs and all sorts of stuff on our Redbubble and our Threadless, so it's not limited to like t-shirts. We're t-shirt folks. My whole wardrobe is shirts, so it tends to be what I'm for. But I've gotten a couple mugs from Redbubble, and they're they're class tops, classy mugs. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. So if you are interested in entering to win, just shoot us an email, or you can send it to us on Twitter as well, and you can find us on Twitter at I am Phil Sorensen, 6-Win Creative, and C San Pellegrino, and our boy Chris is at Chris of the Vast. And the show Twitter is at Pop Culture Punks. Again, you can DM or just tweet at us your favorite moment, and we will mark your name in. And those are the deets there. We also have a Facebook, BT Dubs. We also have an Instagram, BT Dubs. And that's it. But you can also find our show if you want to share with your friends on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and Spotify. That is officially everything, I think. Yes.
Sounds like it all.
I always have to double check because you never know. Because there's going to be that one portion of like, where do I listen? And it's like, well, you found it, so maybe just keep listening there. I don't know. Until next time, this has been the Pop Culture Punks podcast, bringing you a little look into Red Dead Redemption 2 and the things of the pop culture sphere. We are thankful for your ears, and with that, we bid you a fond cowabunga.
Booyah.
it's all just in your head. And I wanna burn out in a brilliant burning blaze. Don't